Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Positive Vibes. This is a different broadcast on at 3:30. However, this beauty here, Ashley Battle, this basketball hooper, Pittsburgher, and we're both from Pittsburgh. So hello, my native, and hello, Pittsburgherette. Should I say? It's truly great. Blessings to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.
So let's talk about this basketball thing. Now I know you were actually the only female on the court at Manchester. Now, how was that? How did that feel? You know, you have to be really, really bold to do that. And
yeah.
Which you have to be prideful.
Yeah, like we had some really good talent back in the fifth grade. I mean, like really good basketball players in the fifth grade. And I was really tall for a fifth grader. Mm-hmm. I was probably like 5'7", 5'8" in the fifth grade. I wore the same size sneakers I wear now, which is like a 10.5 in men.
Wow.
So my mom really never had the luxury of like buying, kid size sneakers or anything like that.
$60 tennis shoes, right?
Like straight adult sizes from birth, pretty much.
Wow.
So it was fine. I mean, like the guys, were great, and they knew that I was really talented. So it was just like, no, Ash used to beat on us. Like it was like, yeah, she was the only girl, and she was the best player on the team too. So, if you were to talk to any of those guys that I played with in the fifth grade, they'll be like, no, like it was fine, and Ash was the best player on the team at the time. So it wasn't, I didn't feel like it was a big issue. Like they treated me well. There was never any issues of like, oh, you're a girl or something like that. It was nothing. There was never anything like that. And they had a separate dressing room for me to change in. Like it was as smooth sailing as you could possibly have, which I'm really grateful for.
Yeah, because sometimes I guess the guys with egos can get the best of them, especially when there's a female, doing some things that is more dominated to men anyway. And that can not just be basketball, that's football in a lot of arenas. You know what I mean? So that's a blessing. You just had people that took you in and seen your talents, and you just beat on them like you should. Do it again.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything like they never really looked at me, I guess, like as Ash is a girl or anything like that. It was just like we're all hoopers and we're all trying to get better. And like we played all the time together, played before school, at lunch, after school. We were all just wanted to play all the time. So it was never like, oh, you're a girl, you can't play. First off, I was taller than everybody. And so I'm like, tell me I can't play, I'm gonna kick your butt. You know what I mean? I was always getting into fights too back then. So I'm like, tell me I couldn't do it and I'm gonna prove you wrong. So that was also, things that were happening. But no, it was easy peasy.
Awesome. And you also you played for San Antonio Stars and the Seattle Storm and the New York team. Tell us about your experience playing in the NBA and how did that make you to pretty much pull you into being the star that you are, being best. I mean, you played when you were younger, but being in the NBA is a whole nother beast. So it grooms you into being this woman superstar, this professional basketball player. How did that groom you from when you were little up to as an adult playing in the
NBA? I would say, just the confidence that you have as a youngster. I played in a ton of different teams and a ton of different, camps and different things like that, and was really able to kind of solidify myself as an elite talent growing up, which I was able to get a scholarship to go to UConn. And UConn, I guess I can't really answer that question without talking about UConn because
Absolutely.
we were, you know, working to be the UConn that you see today. And Gino's tough. He's a tough cookie on all of us. So he challenges us and really we playing against different All Americans every night, every day in practice. And not only that, but we also had like a really high basketball IQ,
Mhm.
and then we're learning and learning new things that will help us become like really, really talented and really good on the court. And then once you translate all of those things in college and then go pro, it's just completely different in the talent level, across the board. But the toughness that you acquire, growing up, the toughness that you have to go to a place like UConn, and the mental toughness that you have, the physical toughness that you had to have, you know, leading up to this point to go pro, it was almost like once you got in, it was almost like it was easy. Not as far as like the talent level is concerned, but like managing practice, managing, whether you're going to play or not, managing all those things from a physical and mental capacity. Like I've already had to deal with all of that, collegiate wise. So I felt like I was very prepared to play professionally. And not only that, but a lot of things that I learned helped me, in the professional aspect of things as well.
Awesome. Now, with the pandemic going on, we know, of course, that the sports has been unraveled and things like that, as far as like, sports, football, and just all the sports. How has the pandemic affected, the things that you do, physically in regarding basketball? Because we know pandemic is here, but for a fact that it wouldn't take away your wanting and your yearning for basketball. How has that affected you?
Absolutely. So when the pandemic started, I was still working at the NBA league offices. So it was, I came back to Pittsburgh. I was unfortunately my uncle had passed away March 9th. I came home March 10th, and then the world kind of shut down like that Monday or that following Monday, or going into the weekend and stuff like that. So I really wasn't sure as to how long I was going to be here in Pittsburgh. Um, and then everything shut down, like sports, everything kind of hit a wall. And I was probably uh, in March. I was 3 months post operation on my hip,
Mm-hmm.
so there wasn't. I was exercising, but there wasn't really like many things I was allowed to do yet. So I ended up, so sports for me really didn't stop, per se. So I was working on a bunch of different things at my current job at the time, making videos for international players, so they could work out. So I was working out, doing all of that, and then I had to go down to the bubble in Florida, in Orlando, for the NBA bubble. So I was there, came back, and I'm like, okay, I need to like work out, like myself, I need to work out. And in the bubble was great because I could work out all the time there, and really, whether it be walking on the treadmill or something like that, I could continue to like exercise. But then when I got back, I was like, all right. So I ended up getting a Peloton. I ended up like getting doing like different body weight kettlebell workouts. And now that the world is kind of like semi open, I'm still hooping. I probably hoop probably 2 to 3 times a week.
Wow.
So
So tell us about one of your most exciting games, when you were just at that mark where you were like, you just a beast at it, and then tell us about one of your lowest games and your feelings going through those emotions.
um aside from like winning national championships, like those are just fun moments to have. When in college when we played Duke. That was a lot of fun. It was the first time. It was the first time ever like a number. It was like a number one versus a number two, and then it was the first time like the women had sold out at Cameron Indoor Stadium, and it was just like they treated everything like the men's game. So the Cameron Crazy, them doing all that stuff. It was like the first time that they did all of that. So it was like great. I almost went to Duke. So a lot of these players there could have been my teammates, and and we grew up together playing in the different tournaments and the different on the circuit pretty much. So we all knew each other for 5 or 6 a long time, prior to us even competing. And it was just a lot of fun, man. So I mean, and it's just great when you play well and then you win. Like you feel like you're on top of the world. A low moment, I guess everything is very cyclical. So there's gonna be times when you're gonna have like a low moment. It could be let me think. I mean, there was a time in the WNBA when I just wasn't playing. So I was just, for whatever reason, the coach would not put me in. And I was playing well in practice. I was being a great teammate, but I just wasn't getting in the games. I wasn't getting rewarded for, my efforts and stuff like that. So, and my teammates will always ask me like, how are you doing this? Like we all see that you're not playing, and yet you're still in great spirits. You're still cheering us on. You're still doing all these different things that that has us wondering like, how are you still doing these things? Like, because I know it's difficult because you're not playing.
Right.
And so I just keep my faith, and like you gotta control the things that you can control. I can't control my playing time, you know what I mean? But I can control I can control my attitude. I can control my efforts when I'm practicing, and things like that. But I can't really control my playing time.
Absolutely, I understand that. Actually, and the reason I kind of went into asking you that question is because the rate of suicide amongst females and just people in America and children is really high, and a lot of it is because they can't control the mental or their emotions and things like that. And for us to hear the story about you being so passionate about wanting being playing basketball and just at that moment to whereas it was something that you couldn't control. How can you speak to our young women and some of even some of the men per se regarding the mental state and how to just have your faith, keep your faith, and to just go through the motions and to be strong and not give up?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it's hard. It's a hard thing to do because it's you want to do something so badly and you want to be great at something so much that you're just like when someone doesn't like allow you to do those things, it's like, man, like what do I have to do to be better? Like what do I have to like you just can't figure out what it is you need to do. And I think, for me, you to play sports in general, you have to be mentally tough, you have to be confident in your abilities. And when you put the time in and when you work, you're able to gain confidence out of those workouts, out of the time that you put in. So like it's important to keep confident, have great people around you that's going to sometimes you need a little extra motivation, but also just when you put the time in, that should build confidence for you. And oftentimes, sometimes coaches say some really nasty things, and you can't take it personal. You cannot take it personally. You have to really just um, be like, take what you need out of that, dump the rest. Because if you hold on to a lot of these different things that what outsiders say or anything, it's gonna tear you apart. And you see it happen all the time. I mean, it doesn't matter what level that you're on, but you see it happen all the time where people just can't, they play into the media, or people say things on social media that hurt. People say some really nasty things that and it's very hurtful, and you have to really just be the bigger person, unfortunately, because if you pay attention to it, it's gonna eat you alive, or if you have like a really good way of just like compartmentalizing things and blocking things out, then that's cool too. But I mean, you see superstars that have burner accounts,
Mhm.
so they can like refute things that other people are saying.
Right. So, also one of the questions I want to ask is too. I know you have your degree in marketing and economics. How has marketing and economics played a part in what you're doing today? Because I know
Um,
we're being a virtual world.
yeah. So prior to me going to the MBA, I worked at a financial planning firm. So econ, like I was doing financial planning for athletes and help build a sports and entertainment division. So econ, that goes hand in hand, with the things I was doing. And then like now currently in my Nike role, like marketing and econ plays in like almost everything that I do. So I mean, it's really cool because I get to build strategies. I get to like execute those things, and think about new ways of how to get maybe some product that isn't necessarily going to be supported by the brand. Like, how can I make this pop? How can I make this happen? And how can I make something that no one's really thinking about or talking about? How can I make that cool? So I get to think of different ways of doing that, and I get to think of like ways to really so by doing that, I have to look at numbers all the time. I have to look at like forecasts. I have to look at what are these projections off? Do we think that we're going to hit this target? Do we think that this is too much? Do we think it's not enough? So I get to really merge the two, and it's pretty cool dynamic to be in. Like I get to make sneakers, which is pretty dope, and have like a say in what's going to be made, and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
So when is your sneaker coming out?
Oh, no, 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 no. Like a signature shoe for me? Nah.
Yeah.
Um like no, 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 no. Like it's more like I'm kind of behind the scenes now. Like if I'm kind of behind the scenes now, it's like more like uh let me help this. Do I think like we have somebody who can be a signature athlete or something like that? Like those are the type of things that I do now. I'm like behind the scenes. I just
Okay.
I make sure that other people got really nice drip.
Okay. Well, I need to give me something. So now let's talk. I always you're such an inspiration to a lot of young ladies that are trying to play that want to play basketball. I want you to really reach out, and this is positive vibes on a positive note to the young ladies that really, really want to play basketball. And then we're going to talk about the NBA's Basketball Operations Associate Program, how that's working for you and how it can work for others in the NBA. Let's reach out to some young ladies that have aspirations to play basketball, but in this cruel world now, the young girls are always being taunted about the way they look and the way they feel, and they've been pretty much pushed into the closet as to not want to play. You know what I mean? They're kind of being bullied out of their dreams and their aspirations to be a basketball player. That's how can we inspire them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's both Nike and the NBA. Um, they have different initiatives, like Her Time to Play is one of them, where females are dropping out of sports in general at an alarming rate, like in middle school or whatnot, and it's just really sad to see, and particularly in basketball too. So it's like really, really sad to see, because basketball has afforded me so many great things in life. It's just from a confidence level in myself, a confidence in my abilities and mental strength. It's just something that, to be in the world that I live in and being in corporate America, you need to have a lot of intangibles that sports can provide you. And it's just a great way of building friendships. It's a great way of like networking. It's a really great way. It's almost like a sorority in itself, So UConn has so many generations of athletes that have come through, and I mean, there's plenty of times where people who not only maybe I played with, or maybe I didn't play with, or went to UConn, or maybe they didn't go to UConn, but they'll reach out and just say, "Hey, do you know such and such, or can you help me, build a resume or something like that?" And I think it's just a great spot to be in, because I'm able to give back in that regard and really help navigate people through a space where maybe a hard time, and really try to give some really good advice with that. There's a very sad story. My daughter played basketball, and I really love the sport. Yeah, I mean, basketball is great. It's just really a really great opportunity to see the world, really great opportunity to get a free education, and really just, if the the specs, like C-suite execs who are female, all of them played sports.
Wow.
Like, there's not. I really I would venture to say like 90% of 90% of women C-suite execs play sports.
Wow, that's awesome. Now let's talk about your photo shoot with Mr. Alaquiva. Let's talk about
Yeah.
that photo shoot. How was that? I know it was exciting. He's an exciting guy.
Yeah, I mean, Emi and I, we've known each other for a really long time, and for years he's been like, when are we going to shoot? When am I going to shoot you? When am I going to shoot you? And and then the timing of things just really haven't manifested where we could in the same place in the same time, or something like that. But this particular time, it was just really like, okay, I need professional shots done. Like, I'm going to Nike and they want, professional shots done. And he's like, I'm here. Like, let's do this. And so I'm like, all right, well, let's go. And we both had some ideas on like where we thought we should go, and different things like that, or different looks. And it just works out really well. And the shoot, we had like a gorgeous day. I mean, it was in the midst of like clouds and rainy days in Pittsburgh. We end up finding like the one day where there was no clouds and the sun was just out, and we were able to like really get some really great shots. And like, Ime's a master, and he was just like, it would be so funny because he would be like, Ash, you're like one take. Like, I was like, most of these shots were like one take. And
Wow.
so he was just like, okay, boom, we got it. Boom, one take. Boom, one take. And I'm like, we don't need to do another one. He's like, no, we got it. And it was just really funny because there's like a couple pictures where we had like this sun reflector.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not keep my eyes open. I mean, I really am unsure how models do this. I mean, he was like, Ash, you got to keep your eyes open. So a couple of those shots, they were like 2 takes, but like I couldn't keep my eyes open because the sun was like right in my eyes. So there's like one where I'm like kind of squinting, but I just couldn't keep my eyes open. But but for the most part, like, I mean, Ime's awesome. He's a great guy. I mean, he's so talented in everything that he does, and I'm really happy to like have him in my life as a positive, influence in my life, and I'm happy that I could be a positive role model for his daughter, and so she could see other black women doing really great things, and he gave me a gift the other day that was just like really amazing.
I saw that. That was awesome. I was like, wow, I was ready to cry after reading it. That was
Yeah,
beautiful.
it was really beautiful. It's so thoughtful. And the gift was it's like a plaque of an article that his shots are in, and it's about me, and it's huge. Like, I'm not a small person, and it's like half my body. And he's just a really beautiful guy, and like, I'm just really happy to have someone like that in my corner.
I know. And there's a young lady on, her name is Joy Ford. She's I met her out of Baltimore. I'll put her comment up here. She writes books for children, and she has some children that have written their own books too. She says she's working on a children's book for girls in basketball. So she may reach out. She's a good person to know. She's writing a book about children's books for girls in basketball. So
sweet. You should write a children's book about me.
So she probably heard you. I know she did. Well, you know what? Actually, I know you have 1,000 things to do on this Good Friday. Tell me what's next for Ashley, so we can be rooting you on and being in your pot. What's next for Ashley?
Right. What's next is, right now I'm trying to generate a lot of experience at Nike. My ultimate like dream job goal is to be a GM, and to be a GM in basketball, whether it's the WNBA or the NBA. Like, I want to like manage teams in some capacity, and like really help put teams together and different things like that. And so right now I'm really trying to gain a lot of experience, more experience in the financial things, more experience in building strategies. Being at Nike is a perfect fit for me, to do those things and to really gain experience in different avenues that I may not have been able to gain at the NBA league office. Really staying connected with like my mentors and people who can help influence and give me advice, because I really think that's important.
Awesome.
And who knows? I may be at Nike for 30 years, or I may be a GM.
I can see you at GM. I really can't. I was actually thinking about that prior to our interview, and I didn't want to if it was something that was getting ready to pop out, I didn't want to disclose it unless until it happened. But I can see you being a GM. I see the picture when you were being inducted, and I said, she looks like a general manager. I can see you doing that, and I know there's a lot of women that are going to be inspired by this interview here, and just let me know anything that I can do to help you move the ball along. I'm here, and I just appreciate your time, and I appreciate you just being the woman that you are, being that professional hooper, and just having those beautiful photos, just being as beautiful as you are, being the single woman. I mean, not single woman, the single daughter.
I am single, so like, let's talk about that. Sorry, I'm joking, but I am single though, so it's all right. No,
and then your mom's only child. It's kind of hard being an only child. You know what I mean? A lot of people are. So let's talk about that. I mean, so you may be getting some calls for some dates. Well, Joy said. Hey. She said, how can she get in contact with you? Joy, she has her Facebook down there, her egg, and her Twitter information. How you can get in contact.
So Instagram's probably the best way. It's just Ashley Battle. And my Twitter handle is a little bit off. It's the Battle Zone, the_battle_zone. But Instagram is fine, or Facebook. I mean, I'm around. I'm usually lurking on one of them at some point throughout the day.
Hey, lurking sounds kind of crazy. Don't say you're lurking.
Oh yeah, true statement. Surfing the web, scrolling through. I'm kind of so I'll see it at some point.
So, well, would you be able? Could you start a team? Would you be willing to start a team, a women's team?
Like what type of team? Like an AAU team or like
AAU. Well, Pittsburgh doesn't have professional basketball. I'm from there. I've always wanted it there, but I don't even know if that would even be possible.
Would definitely need a lot of support and like buy-in from the league and stuff like that. I mean that's a lot of work to have a team in any city. I mean it would be great to have a team here in Pittsburgh. I think if people would support, I think people will come. But it's just one of those things where like the Penguins and the Steelers have ton of fan support.
Mm-hmm.
If Pitt's winning, they have ton of fan support. If the Pirates are winning, they have ton of fan support. But if they're losing, people don't go. It doesn't matter what the Steelers do or what the Penguins do, people are always going to go. But for whatever reason, what'd you say?
I said it doesn't matter how cold it is either.
It doesn't matter. Like people are going to go. But like for whatever reason with like basketball in the city, it's like, people will go to the high school games and support the high school games. I've seen people travel to go to Hershey to see the high school state final and this, that, and the other. But for whatever reason, like people just don't support basketball here. And it's crazy because there's a lot of talent, a lot of talent that's come out of Pittsburgh. And, it's, we should have like more support in that area here.
Hey, well, maybe that's your zone asking to do. I don't know. Maybe that's your calling to do. I don't know, but you got my support, so you let me know how I can help.
We'll see. I'm in Pittsburgh now, but who knows? If I'm not supposed to be in Pittsburgh at the moment, but like we'll see what happens though.
Well, I see you're all hoodied up. Your Pittsburgh style definitely is cold. What's the weather like up there?
In Pittsburgh, I'm here. It's like it's cold out. Like don't let the sunshine fool you. It's like 40 degrees outside or something like that. It's kind of chilly out. So yeah, and if you I stay in a pretty in a hoodie. Sometimes I have a hat on, sometimes I don't. But I stay hoodied up. Or t-shirts. Like a friend of mine, he's always like, you have so many t-shirts. I need to step my t-shirt game up, and like my hoodie game's on point too. So like all different colors.
You gotta have a pair of Timberlands too, right?
I'm sorry?
I said you gotta have a pair of Timberlands when you're in Pittsburgh, right?
I don't
really
rock Tims. I haven't really rocked Tims since I was like a kid. Like I'm a UGG person. You want to talk about boots? Like I am a UGG. I got on UGG slippers right now. Like I am a UGG person. Like
these are pretty good. Some nice looking Uggs. I was just talking to a friend of mine in Maryland about Uggs, and we were talking about Uggs, and I seen there were some pretty. They've changed a lot. I mean, there's some Uggs that kind of look like Timberlands. I just seen them.
I got these UGG rain boots. They're pretty expensive, but I mean, I don't even wear socks with them in the winter. Like literally, my feet are dry, my feet are warm. Like, if I can sustain that in the winter months here, I could. It's like whatever, really.
So you went on vacation and had a ball and was in the sunshine and doing your thing, and you come back to it being like 40 degrees. Are you okay?
No, I'm not. I'm actually thinking about like taking another vacation pretty soon. I'm like this virtual world. I can work from anywhere, so I'm like, why am I staying in the cold? I don't have to. So like, cool. So and I'm single and I don't have any kids. Like I don't have to stay here if I don't want to.
You're not bogged down. You better get out there and travel the world, girl.
Exactly. I've done that plenty of times.
Well, you can always go over to Dubai and visit some friends. I have some friends over there. I'm going to be going over to Dubai, so if I go over there, I'm going to be calling Dash. Come on, Ashley, come on over. We're having fun over here. You coming?
Yeah, let me know. I've been in Dubai, so I've been there. So it's really it is hot. Like, oh
I
my
think it's probably
gosh.
like November, though. If I go, it'll be like November-ish. Because that's what I heard is kind of
I
decent.
went there in the summer.
Like
Mm-mm.
you were baby.
Oh my goodness. It was like I came I and I'm an asthmatic. So I came out of the airport and it was like like because you're like in the middle of the desert and it like literally like sucked all the air out of my body. It was just like everything in my body was just like, ooh, like I need water.
No
Like I need,
moisture, everything gone.
it was gone. It was gone. Everything was just gone.
So during this pandemic, and where kids are not really allowed in gyms and things like that to practice, what type of things can women do, or not women, just or can people do that are wanting to play basketball in and around their houses? What can they do right now? Is it just dribbling, or what can they do to pick up their game and to keep themselves up to par prior to maybe trying out during this pandemic time and being safe at the same time?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of things that people can do, to stay active, and work on your game. I think this is a really good time to like work on your ball handling. There's a bunch of different skills and drills that are out there that you can do to work on, keeping your handles tight. But then you can also work on your form shooting. You may not have like a hoop to actually shoot at, but you can still perfect the art of shooting. When I was a kid, I used to do this drill where I would literally put my foot on a line on the sidewalk. I put my foot on the line and I would shoot. And if the ball hit the line, then I knew it was straight. If it was to the right, to the left, like I knew it wasn't straight. And when I would shoot out of the basket, if it's to the left, it's going to be off. To the right, if it's going to be off. But if it hit the line, then I know it's like straight going into the basket. And so I would like make up these. We would make up drills all the time. Like a couple of my friends, they lived across the street from me, and we would walk to Manchester Field, and we'd have one basketball, and we would walk and just dribbling between our legs the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you messed up, you had to cough the ball up. It was the next person's turn to go. Like sometimes like you could get one person could dribble the entire way to Manchester Field, which is probably like 3 blocks up, probably like 6 blocks in total. Like 3 up and 3 to the right. And like, or you could dribble twice and have to cough the ball up because you messed up. But it was competitive because you wanted to definitely have the ball in your hand when you get to the courts, but competitive enough because you didn't want to mess up because you wanted, to be the person that did it the longest and stuff like that. So, and I will always encourage females to play with males because they're, for the most part, they're bigger, stronger, and more physical. I still hoop with guys, and ever since I was a kid, I played with grown men, and not one time have they ever taken it easy on me. Like not one time. It was just like, you out here, you going to get bullied. We're going to back you down.
Girl, I don't think you're gonna have it easy.
You think right? Just because you're a female, you think you're gonna have it. I mean, I literally had to go get an X-ray the other day because I thought I broke my nose. So like, it's like never ever have anybody that I played against taken it easy on me, and I wouldn't have wanted it any other way.
Awesome sauce. Well, Ashley, I know you got some things that you got to get back to work. I don't want to hold you away from your time and doing your other things, but I want to thank you so much for being a part of Positive Vibes. Leave one positive quote or one positive thing that comes from Ashley Battle for those out there watching.
One positive thing is just really like control. I mentioned this earlier. It's like really control what you can control. Work on being better every day. Work on being mentally tough. Work on, I think, people have heard over the years that it's 90% mental, and it's very true. So continue to like strive for greatness, and on my jersey back there, that way the camera's like flipped. So like on my jersey back there, Kobe told me to do epic things, and that's what I'm gonna tell you is to do epic things.
So talk about your experience with Kobe. I saw the pictures. Talk about your experience with Kobe.
Um, words. I mean, you want the whole story?
Whatever you have time enough for. I don't want to hold you. I know you probably can talk longer for whatever you want to give.
No, I'll give you the whole story. So, 2 years ago today, actually, like I met Kobe for the first time, and prior to meeting him, I kind of prophesized that this was going to happen. And one of my closest friends, he could tell you that like I prophesized like this was going to happen. I was going to meet Kobe, and he and I were going to be great friends. And so what happened was I was at the Final Four because it's March Madness time, maybe 2 years prior, and UConn was playing, and I was in one section, and Kobe was in the next section, like maybe 12 rows down from me. And I'm like, did I just go over there? Do I not? Like, I didn't go over there, and I went up to the suite, and the UConn players that were in my section, they went over there and met him and took a picture with him. So I was like, damn it, that's strike one. I was like, that's strike one right there. And so then I got wind that he was going to go to a UConn basketball game. And I was like, this is my time. This is when I'm going to meet him at a UConn game. Like, he's literally coming to stores. This is perfect. And I didn't go to the game. Strike two. Didn't go to the game that he was at. And you see the photo where, I mean, they show the photo all the time of him and Gigi at that UConn game, but I didn't go. So I'm like doing some PR work for the NBA, and they're like, oh, Kobe Bryant's gonna be here tomorrow. He's doing a book signing, and I'm like, my ears like perk up, and I'm like, can I go? And they're like, I don't see why not. Let me check. So the next day happens, and I'm like, hey, can I, is it still cool if I go to this event? Yada, yada, yada. They're like, yeah, sure, no problem. So I'm like, all right, like I'm going to buy Mama Mentality. He's going to sign my book. I'm like, yeah, that's going to happen. So it's like, you're walking from the NBA league offices to like the NBA store. It's like maybe 2 New York blocks or something like that. Like maybe like 3 or 4 or something like that. But you got to go past like the bookstore. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to stop in here. I'm going to grab this book right quick. And then I'm like, I don't know if this is like, I'm working, like I probably shouldn't do this. And then I got to the NBA store, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm buying a jersey. And so I like get in there, and I buy this jersey, the jersey that you see behind me. And I'm like, all right. So we had a moment together. Like they knew I wanted to meet him and talk to him. And so they kind of blocked off where it was after the signing, before he had to do his interviews. We probably had maybe like 5 to 10 minutes together. And like we were vibing, and I felt like it was a really good time. I was like, can you sign this? And he's like, yeah, girl, come here, let me have that. And so like signed it. And I was like, hey, I'm going to be in LA in like 2 weeks. Like we should reconnect, and he's like, okay. And I'm like, all right. And so I go to LA. 2 weeks later, I end up going to a practice with the girls, and I met the parents and the coaching staff and everybody like that. So I was able to practice with them. And that was like really a great time for us to like, our relationship really blossomed after that. Cause I had like really private time, like unsolicited private time to talk. And, we just really hit it off. Our philosophies about life, our philosophies about basketball were in line, and it was almost like to the point where at the end of the day we were like finishing each other's sentences. And so it was just like, dude, like how is this the first time we've ever met? Like really like big brother, like little sister type of relationship. And it's always like really responsive. And like I end up, the WNBA All-Star game was, no, it wasn't the last time I saw him, but it was like a really good time. And at that time, I thought I was moving to LA. And there was like a picture of us, like I'm telling, and someone from the stands took this picture and gave it to me later. And was just like, and I'm like, oh, like I know this moment, like exactly what was happening in this moment. And I thought I was moving to LA. I was like, I think I'm moving to LA. And he's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. And so we were both just like, he's like, as soon as you touch down, you have to call me. And I'm like, yeah, like you're Kobe Bryant. I'm like, of course I'm gonna call you and stuff like that. I'm like, you're like really the only person I'm gonna know in LA, but like what a person to know like in LA. And whatever, it worked out where I didn't end up moving to LA, but and just our last encounter, he came to the NBA offices. And so the WNBA commissioner was like, hey, I need you to greet somebody. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like sitting there like by the elevators and I'm like waiting for this person. I don't know who it is, first off. And they're just like, it literally could be anybody coming out of these elevators. And I'm like, I don't even know who I'm supposed to greet right now, but I'm here to greet somebody. So whoever's coming out of the elevators, I'm just going to greet them. Like that's what I'm thinking. And so she comes back and she's like, oh no, they're already in the conference room. And the conference room was literally 10 feet away. And we walk in the conference room and like Kobe's standing there and he's like looking out the window. And it was literally like two kids in a candy shop. It was like two kids in a candy shop. I was like, Kobe! And he's like, Ash! Like we're literally like screaming at each other in the middle of like the NBA office. And like there's like desks all around us. And I know they heard us screaming because the doors were open. And I'm like, I didn't even know you were coming. Like literally like screaming at him. And go over, like give him like this huge hug. And I'm just like, I didn't even know you were coming. I didn't even know you were coming. And I point to my shoes. Randomly, I had on Kobe's that day. Wow. And he's just like, that's just because like you're my girl, you just know, and that was just like essentially, how our relationship was, and just knowing like he would really do anything for anybody. I guess my biggest regret is that I hit him up like in December. And I was just like, hey, like happy holidays. I need to talk to you about some things. I like need your help with a few things. I'll hit you up in the new year. And he's like, all right, cool, bet. And so, he ended up passing away. And I never got a chance to like have that conversation with him or, explain, some of the things that I wanted to like do. Never had a chance to talk to him about that. So if there's, one thing that I could tell people is just really to, if you have something you want to tell somebody, like just do it. And, let whatever happens at the end of it. But, seize the moment really, because you never know what's going to happen. And, he was just a beautiful guy, just a really great friend, and he would do anything for anybody, anything in his power that he could do to help somebody, he would do it. And, and then like the girls were just really great kids, and they really, really loved basketball. And you could tell by the way in which they played and how focused they were during practice. And, the world was just robbed of just such great young talent. And, it just freaking sucks. That, that part just really sucks, and you wish that that day never happened. And it was just a huge loss for women's basketball in general, because he was just such a great supporter and such a great ally to have. And Gigi would have just been amazing. I mean, this
Oh yeah.
girl was a microcosm of him, and it was like the freakiest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like at the practice, I would just be like, I would like whisper over to Kobe, I'm like, dude, she's you. And he's like, he just start laughing. I'm like, no, I'm serious. Like, she is you, and it's freaking me out. Like, you know what I mean? I just say like different things like that, and he would just start laughing, and I'm like, you think I'm joking? I'm like, you really think I'm joking? But I am dead serious.
Fallback looks just like him.
I'm sorry.
I said her fallback looks just like him.
Oh my god! I mean, the way she walked, her mannerisms on the court, how she acted. I mean, it was like him in female version, and she was just as much of a killer on the court as he was, and it was just really awesome. I'm really happy that I got a chance to experience that, and experience getting a chance to know him, and know his family, and know the girls. I wish I could have spent more time with them, but one
What
moment at
is
a time.
he doing now? What are they doing now? Are they still playing basketball? I'm assuming they still are. Are they what the team Gigi was on, her team, what are they doing now?
I'm sure they're still playing. I don't really know, but I'm sure. People are still. Mamba Academy is not named Mamba Academy anymore. Like, they changed the name, so there's, but the trainers are still training people. So, the world keeps spinning. And you got to keep pushing and got to keep moving on. So there's that. So it's everyone was stuck for a very long time. It was the beginning of a shitty year. But we had to, as a people, you had to just keep striving, and learn from experiences. And he was definitely wise beyond his years. And there's some great quotes out there from him, about persevering and different things like that, and the whole Mamba mentality, aspect, and mentality and relationship that you have with hoops, and with life. So just keep going.
Well, Ashley, look, let me tell you something. It's been real. I truly appreciate your time, appreciate what you're doing, appreciate your encouragement and everything that you have given to ladies. I'm going to let you go, and thank you so much. Anything that I can do on my side, let me know, and I'm with you all the way.
All right, thank you. I truly appreciate that.
All right, you enjoy the rest of your Friday. Enjoy it. Be safe, be warm.
Oh yeah, that's gonna happen. I got the space heater floating.
That's going. That's hot, right?
Yeah, man, I'm gonna be nice and toasty.
All right, look, you take care now. God bless you, and I love you, girl.
Thanks, man. Have a great day. Love you too.
All right,
Bye.